So I was going to press. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to another Freedom Legacy Group interview. And today I've got a very special guest, Mr. Paul Hill. I'm delighted that we finally got around to this interview, Paul, because what you bring to the world is just simply, in my opinion, amazing. And your energy and attitude, as we've just been discussing, is something that is hugely contagious. So Paul is a hypnotherapy coach. He's an NLP practitioner. He's a mental first aider. He's done all sorts of things, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, the underpants and the socks. So we're gonna have a fantastic 30 to 45 minutes talking about all things changing neural pathways, so how you can become happier, healthier, more peaceful, wiser, etc. Paul, very quickly, who are you? What do you do? How did you get here? Because your story is so colourful, and please share it with us.
It's probably way more colourful for this for this particular medium. But so I was a mortgage broker for 25 years, and I've always been interested in the mind, and people always come to me with their problems. So if I went in for a mortgage interview, my partner would go in and out in an hour, job done. I'd be there for 3 hours, and it'd be ridiculous. And that person that my partner used to deal with might use us again. My client, they would name their children after me, even the girls. I'd be invited to bar mitzvahs, to christenings, and they would always feed me. I don't know what it was, but people have this thing to feed me. I mean, I'm 18 stone. I don't need feeding, but people would feed me. And I don't know what it is, but he said, if we could bottle that a bit about you, because your organizational skills are rubbish, absolutely appalling. But if we could bottle the bit that people like, we'd make a fortune. Then various things happen, and life has a habit of throwing curveballs at you. And I had several curveballs, like everybody does, some large, some small. And I decided to change direction. So I qualified as a sports and remedial massage therapist. And even on the massage table, people were still sharing their secrets with me. Go to the psychology of the massage. When you relax the body, the mind automatically follows suit, which is why if there's anybody listening to this and they've got a regular hairdresser, the hairdresser knows more about you than your partner, that type of thing. So I thought, I really need to be a counselor. That's what I need to do. And the counselling course I chose, the first 6 months was hypnotherapy. And it was like an awakening. We spoke about this just before we came, an awakening. And I thought, God, I can do this. And the rest, as they say, is history. So I've got hypnotherapy, NLP, a form of EMDR called the blast technique, all sorts of tools. My main goal, if you like, is to educate people that hypnotherapy isn't what you think it is. It isn't hopping on one leg and barking like a dog. Although if you want to, I can arrange that. And it is, and it isn't, look around the eyes, not into the eyes. And I certainly don't have a watch. Interestingly enough, the reason they use the watch is when you focus on the watch, your eye muscles get very, very tired. And when your eye muscles get tired, what do? You close your eyes. That is the sole purpose of the watch. It's got nothing to do with hypnotherapy. It's to make you close your eyes. You heard it here first.
Fantastic. So you're based in the south of England.
Yep.
And you've done this transition.
Yep.
Who do you kind of work with? Because I know you've got clients from all walks of life, all sorts of things. And what I think is so amazing is that, it's not just one particular problem you can help with.
No.
If we can dive into that a bit, please.
Narrow it down. Okay, so hypnotherapy, I truly believe that everybody can be helped with hypnotherapy. Those people with problems and without. If you have a problem, we can help with hypnotherapy, with NLP, with various other modalities. If you haven't, it can boost where you want to be.
Can I just stop you there? Sorry, that I think is so important. I just wanted to, because everybody goes, "Oh, I've got to go have some hypnotherapy. I've got issues. I've got a problem. I'm broken." But it's not. It can actually. I love that. You can also build on your strengths.
Absolutely. You see, I'm glad you used the word strengths, because people often talk about strengths and weaknesses, and I'm very hot on languages. I don't believe in weaknesses. I believe in strengths and gaps. You've got a strength, there is a gap in your ability or your training or whatever. So go find what it is you need to fill the gap. And if you can't fill the gap for whatever reason, GSI, get someone in to fill that gap for you. I don't like doing the posts on FB and LinkedIn. So guess what? I get a VA to do it for me. Why? Because I could spend hours learning, researching, doing all those bits. It's not what I'm about. I'm better off using my strengths, which is sat in front of my clients. So what she does in an hour would take me 3 bloody days. Why do it? Get someone in, or increase your own training. So yes, so it's not just about, I have loads of clients that come to me, they haven't got a problem per se, but they just need a little bit of focus, or they'll come to talk to me about a business deal they want to go through. They've got the mindset just about right, but they just need tipping over the edge. And quite often we'll sit down and we won't actually do hypnotherapy. We'll use a bit of NLP, but it's just about focusing their minds for them. And you'll know this, Finn, all the answers are within. It's just seeing the wood for the trees. And you had an awakening a couple of years ago, and it was like, but I knew this stuff. I knew this stuff. Why couldn't I access it? Well, your subconscious mind puts in place things to protect you. And one of those protections was, maybe we don't want you to go down that path because you tried it before, or you tried a business before. Well, how about looking at what if rather than what if not? How about why rather than why not? And that's what therapists do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Listen, we've done some work before. It was incredible. And I love that thing of, you drop a bit of this in and a bit of that. It's like a perfect cake recipe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we come to problems and issues and challenges with a very, I don't like the word mindset, but our mind health is skewed in one sort of narrow direction.
Yep.
But it's that ability to actually kind of loosen the nuts and bolts, to kind of let the other aspects in, which I think is so critical. It's the awareness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of there is more to me than I'm actually giving myself credit for.
Yeah, I think I use an analogy with people like, you and I have both got a six-pack, right? Physiologically, we have a six-pack. I've assiduously covered mine with Guinness and curry over the years, so it's very, very, very difficult to see. But if you and I were to commit to a proper dietary regime and an exercise regime, eventually you would see my six-pack because it's there.
Yeah.
I believe that we've all got a confidence, a self-esteem six-pack that we were born. If you went out of our houses now, you wouldn't see anybody crawling, would you? They're all walking. They're all walking. You wouldn't see anybody blabbering. They're all talking. So we're born with this perfect image, and we learn to walk and we learn to talk, and our parents encourage us to do that. And then what happens is, with love, we get parents. I've done it. 4 children saying, "Don't do that. Don't do this. Careful. Don't do this. Speak when you're spoken to. You've got to eat that. You've got to do this. You've got to conform." And we get layered with a version of inconfident fat. Okay. And it overlays this confident six-pack. So what I help people do is get rid of that inconfident fat, because when you fell on your bum, every time you got up, you didn't stop. You kept getting up. You kept getting up. When you were blah, 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 and finally began to talk, you kept on going. Yeah. And then there's a point where we just stop. And we don't, and we can't, and we use these, and then we start saying I can't ourselves, and we start limiting our own self-beliefs. The belief we had that we were going to walk, that was unwavering. The belief we had that we were going to talk was unwavering. And then all of a sudden we start to waver, and we carry it on through life.
Yeah. I think that is just so powerful, because it's like looking at the book cover and going, "Oh, I'm not going to read that."
Yeah,
that's a crap story. But actually, when you open it up and delve into it, you could be absolutely transformed with the stuff inside.
Yeah.
And we all know we can be more confident. We can be this. We can be that. But we don't realize that we actually just keep looking at the cover. So the question I have for you, Paul, is, my big driver is freedom, not just financial freedom or location freedom. It's, I think, the biggest trap we all have is in our own mind.
Yep.
The activity of the mind. And from your experience, what is the benefit of people actually, or what is the challenge most people face before they are willing to actually go, I need to stop looking outside, I need to go within? What's
Fear.
the biggest challenge? It's fear.
Fear.
Okay, right.
Okay.
And
It's
fear
fear.
of what?
Because it's the unknown, people very, very rarely use introspection. And I remember, like these flotation tanks where you go and lie in a very shallow pool of Epsom salts and you're floating there. And years ago, to my way of thinking, that was the worst possible place for me. Total sensory deprivation, where all I've got are my thoughts. Can you imagine if you've got trauma, past experiences, negative self-beliefs, all of those things, and you're put in a place where that's all you can do is think about those things? It would drive you nuts, wouldn't it? But once you get in and you start saying, well, hang on a minute, the subconscious mind has put these thoughts for me for a reason. The subconscious mind is only there to look after you. It doesn't do malevolent acts. It just says, right, you're a filing cabinet. People talk about the mind as a computer, okay? And I get that, but it really is just a huge filing cabinet, okay? And in those files are everything you've ever heard, seen, touched, tasted, and smelt. And you base all your decisions based on your filing cabinet, not anybody else's, based on your filing cabinet. And if you've had these things saying, can't do this, don't do that, do you remember this happened? It's like this constant negativity. We were born, okay, to survive, not to be happy. We have to manufacture happiness for ourselves. Happiness is the journey, not the destination. Our survival instinct kicks in and we talk about, fight and flight. So we're always looking for the negative. That's our natural response. But guess what? You can turn it around. You can actually choose happy. You can choose to be fulfilled. You can choose different pathways.
That thing of happiness is the journey, I think, is so powerful, because from my perspective, I thought it was the destination.
Yep.
Oh, how can I become happier? I need to be happy. I need, should, ought to, blah, 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 blah. And we're thinking ahead. We're not present.
Yeah.
And we actually informing the future based on the past, and we don't even realize we're doing it, and we forget about actually all I need to focus on is being happy for this moment, and then I can be happy for this moment and this moment and this moment, and then you string them all together and suddenly you realize that actually things are a bit different when you do it like that.
I know you interviewed Vanda, didn't you? Did she talk to you about the gratitude jar?
Yes.
Right.
Did we? No, we didn't actually. No.
Okay, this is something that Vanda said to me, and it's it goes exactly with what you're saying. There's a jar. My jar's out there in a minute, but anyway, you've got a jar, any jar, and every day at a given time, you get a post-it note and you'll write down on a post-it note or split it into 5 sections. Today I am grateful for this. So one of my today I'm grateful that when I turn the tap on, I get fresh, clean drinking water. I'm in the top 2% of the world's population. Today, I'm grateful that I spoke to a client of mine. I won't mention the name, obviously, and we had a really great session. Today, I'm grateful that the first thing I saw this morning when I woke up was my wife. And every day, I write 5 things down in my gratitude jar, and it changes the neural pathways of the brain. It's an old Buddhist teaching.
Yeah.
And then you layer it. I use a different colored post-it note every day, and it becomes like the sands at Alam Chine on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
And then at the end of a given period of time when my jar is full, I either empty it all out, remind myself of what I'm grateful for that period of time, and then throw them away and start again, or label it January to March 2022, stick it away, start a new jar, and then in a year's time, go back and remind myself what I was grateful for before. But you see the gratitude, you see it there. It's a constant reminder, and that's the key.
I think that's brilliant, because for me, I knew I should be more grateful.
Yep.
But I didn't know how. And it was a judgment all the time. I should feel more grateful, but I don't feel it. And what you've just said is actually, it's a practical process.
Yep.
It's the physical act of doing something. And then I started gratitude journals and so on. And even then it was a struggle.
Yes.
Because I ought to be doing this. But over time, it evolved into a whole pile of journals. And then it evolved into not having to write journals because it became more of a conscious thing. Oh,
yeah.
I'm just going to be, I can feel grateful for that. And it became more of a way of thinking, which I never believed would be possible when I started.
I was dealing with a client the other day and we were talking. He said, I do this all the time, Paul. I said, oh, yeah, because very few people, he said, I do it all the time. And he said, I'll prove it to you. In the back of his phone, in there was a £5 note. And on the £5 note were written his 5 most used statements of gratitude. So whenever he picked his phone up, he was minded to look at that and just read them to himself. Every time he picked his phone up, and I thought, how amazing is that? And it's like, when you're doing you said you found it very difficult to begin with. And I think this is something that coaches, therapists miss a trick, because they say, that to make changes, you need to step outside of your comfort zone. That's where change happens. What they don't emphasize is the fact that when you're out of your comfort zone, it is uncomfortable. And because it's uncomfortable, the tendency is to step back into your comfort zone. Relish the uncomfortable feeling, because in a very short space of time, that becomes your new comfort zone. And then you step out to find something else to do. Now, I'm not saying the gratitude jar works for everybody.
Sure.
Okay. But give it a go for 30 days. Put all your heart and soul in it, and then just think, and reflect on how you've started to think differently. Who knows? Give it a go. Listeners, give it a go.
Indeed. Well, I mean, listen, the evidence is there and we all kind of know it, but I think it's whether you write a gratitude journal or you start eating better or do an exercise program or something, the act of it is going to be, we're going to be in resistance to start off with. And it's actually helping people to understand really what works for them. For me, that was a big thing. I had to find things that resonated with me, that felt congruent with me.
Yes.
Because everybody goes, do it like this, and you need to do this, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, okay, I take the idea, right, so how can I weave it into my lifestyle, into my own personality and so on. Question I've got for you is something that I'm reflective now, and I see it in other individuals, is that, in your opinion, can we become addicted to our ways of thinking? And more importantly, I suppose, can we become addicted to our anxiety, our depression, our anger, because that's kind of what we've known for so long?
I think you can. I think there's a thing called a secondary gain. So for instance, I like dealing with trauma. And when I say trauma, that's any trauma. It doesn't have to be like what people automatically assume with PTSD as witnessing someone having their legs blown off with an IED or something of that nature. Any trauma that's happened in your life. There's a thing when I'm dealing with pain relief called secondary gain. So let's say, for instance, you've got an elderly gentleman or an elderly lady, and they've got rheumatoid arthritis. There's no cure. They're in constant pain. And they're given the option of going to see a therapist who can maybe reduce the level of the pain down or remove it completely. But here's the thing. Every Friday at 10 o'clock, their son or daughter comes to pick them up, takes them shopping. They get the week's shopping in. Then they take them to Costa for a coffee, and they listen to the parent telling them the woes of the week and what's gone on. Then they take them home and they unpack the shopping. And it's like, see you later, mum. See you later, dad. See you next week. The gain from the pain is, I'm in pain, but my daughter or son turns up every week to look after me. If I'm no longer in pain, I can do my shopping. That's not going to happen. So whilst I want to be pain-free, the secondary gain is more powerful. The same with things of anxiety and depression, and people become that. So you might say, hi, my name's Finn. I deal with Forex and I deal with this and I deal with that. I might say, my name's Paul. I'm a hypnotherapist. People start with, my name's Stephen. I've got anxiety, or I've got fibromyalgia, or I've got this. They become that person. That's who they are. And it's very difficult to transition away, because then it's almost like grief. Who am I? Because without this pain, without this anxiety, without this depression, who the hell am I? Because that's who I am.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's your identity, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that you become associated, attached, and you build everything around that. We build our lives around our identity in many respects. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. As you know, there are many people out there suffering with anxiety, but they're suffering with anxiety. It's like you don't say to, you know, if I can't give you happiness.
Yeah.
It's not a thing. It's something within. It's a feeling. Anxiety is feelings of anxiousness.
Yeah.
You can't give me the anxiety. It's feelings of anxiousness. And in NLP terms, your thoughts determine your emotions determine your actions get your results. Your thoughts come from your programming. Change the thoughts, you need to change the programming. And the programming is done within the subconscious. So that's where the change needs to take place. Your programming.
Yeah.
And I'm not denigrating or knocking anybody that suffers with feelings of anxiety in any way, shape, or form. But there are things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be hypnotherapy or NLP, counseling, CBT. There are EFT. There are hundreds of therapies out there. Just do it, but do it for an extended period of time. Don't do one session of hypnosis and go, oh, that didn't work, or one session of NLP, oh, that didn't work. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
You're in it for the long game.
Yeah.
You know.
And there it becomes that kind of tug of war really between fear of the unknown and fear what is going to, and actually digging into the courage that we're born with to kind of allow ourselves to see a different existence.
Yeah.
Because I read a great quote one day. Is that nobody's going to be able to cut you open and pull out your depression or your anxiety. It's, as you said, it's all generated through our programming, and you know, we then suddenly we forget that and we go, well, that's just the way I am. Actually, no, it's not. You weren't born like that. No, it's a learned thing. Yeah, it's
a learned thing. We're only born with two things: a fear of falling over and a fear of loud noises. Everything else is learned behavior.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people that have got more of a propensity towards anxiousness than others. We have a thermostat. So I quite often say, well, Amanda and I with happiness, Amanda, my wife, okay, my happiness level, my thermostat is set from 0 to 10. I regularly am between a 5 and a 9. My resting is a 7. Amanda's, hers is between a 3 and a 7. Her resting is a 5. She needs to make an effort to get to a 7, which is my resting happiness. So I need to understand that her thermostat is lower than mine. So when I had an email through the other day saying I'd want a tenner on the postcode lottery, and I was going, what, a tenner? She's like, really? But that's her thermostat being set low. Now, if you're talking about a thermostat for detail and documentation, because she's a rocket scientist, mine is set on a 2 to a 5, right? Right. Hers is set on a 7 to a 10. Her resting detail and documentation is a 9, and she will never be able to understand my slipshod attitude towards that thing. So it's realizing that we are all different and we've got different thermostats.
I love that, different thermostats. My wife uses, we all have a different map of the world.
Yes, that's an NLP term, a different map of the world.
Yeah.
And we overlay our map on the world onto other people.
Yes.
And that's where conflict arises.
Particularly our children.
Oh, do you know what? When I first started this journey and they said that your children are hardwired come the age of 7, my eldest 2, they were buggered. I just had enough time to work on the youngest 2.
And no, I remember hearing that as well and going, oh my goodness, I've got to kind of slam the car into reverse, but realized, no, I can't really. I can only kind of focus on the next.
I read a lovely quote the other day. Anger is fear's bodyguard.
Yeah.
And I've not heard that one before. Anger is fear's bodyguard. And I thought, oh my God, that is so true, because it goes along with the best form of attack. Best form of defense is attack.
Yeah.
And that's what people do.
Yeah,
that's when anger shows. It's fear. It's the bodyguard of fear.
Maybe we should get that guy. What's his name? Vladimir something Putin.
Oh yes.
Yeah. He might be able to learn a few things from you. We're not going to get all political on this bit.
No.
Yeah. So, Paul, what's your best kind of kept tool for people who are just listening to this now and going, oh my goodness, there's something I need to pay attention to.
Self-talk.
Self-talk. Okay.
Self-talk. Forget what everybody else is saying to you. People quite often say things like, you'll hear this at the water cooler. Oh, such and such has made me so angry. Such and such. No, they haven't made you angry. You've attached an emotion of anger to what they've said. Okay. It's self-talk. You could have 100 people queuing up outside your doorway now, Finn, to tell you what a lovely guy you are. Okay. And I genuinely believe that it's going to be at least 100 people. Okay. The only voice you will listen to is the one that resides in the 4 inches between your ears. Okay. Yeah. And it's that self-talk. And even if the self-talk is done in a joke, I remember being criticized, no, not criticized, getting good feedback. Because I say to people quite often, I'm a great hypnotherapist, but a crap businessman.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's meant to outline the fact that, you know, my desk is always a mess, but, you know, put me in front of a client, wondrous things can happen. Put me down at my desk and my emails are all over the show and all this sort of stuff. But a coach said to me, are you realizing what you're doing, Paul? By telling yourself, even in jest, that you're a crap businessman, you're manifesting and it will come true. So self-talk is the most important thing that you can work on. It's incredible. If you went out for a walk yesterday afternoon and somebody had broken into your home, tin of spray paint, and they'd written up Finn's useless, he's a rubbish dad, he's a rubbish husband, he's a rubbish coach, he's rubbish. The police aren't interested because nothing's been stolen. What's the first thing you would do with that room?
Clean it.
You'd clean it, you'd redecorate it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So why do we allow people to decorate the inside of our heads and not redecorate?
Boom.
So redecorate the inside of your head, and it starts with telling yourself how wonderful you are. I'm not talking about Kim Kardashian type of arrogance, like pouting and all that. Just, I'm a good dad. I make mistakes, but I'm a good dad. I'm a good husband.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a good friend. I'm a good listener. I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. The problem we have with us British folk is we don't like people saying that they're good at something because we see it as arrogance.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse my French, but bollocks the arrogance.
Yeah.
You're good. You are beautiful. You are this. I had a client in today, and forget that. I'll explain it. On our wedding day, I said to a man in my speech, I said, if there's one thing that I could give you today, it's my eyes for 24 hours so that you could see yourself the way I see you.
Wow.
Okay. And I reiterate that to every single one of my clients because we were all born with such vivacity, such courage, such just
magic.
You know that we get a baby and you want to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to go to your clients. You want to go when they've got, you know, the self-esteem lower than a snake's belly, and you want to, because of my nature, I want to go up and go give the kid, go, but you're just so lovely, but you can't.
Yeah. And just to, you know, that's phenomenal for people to hear that and put it into another context. Is like some of the stuff we say to ourselves, we wouldn't even say to our dearest and nearest, would we?
No.
But we'd say to ourselves. And I look back now and go, oh my God, I can't believe the conversations I was having in my head.
Yeah.
Because I would never say that to my best mate or my wife or sister or kids even.
Yeah.
And, you know, why do it? But we don't realize we're doing it.
Yeah. But if you heard them saying it to themselves,
exactly.
you'd have right. You go, what are you saying?
Yeah.
Are you mad? And out of love, you would get really exasperated with them. How dare you say that sort of thing?
You get really upset and angry.
You're happy to tell yourself it all of the time. And it's our default mechanism. That's the way we are made. However, you can change it. You can change it. It's no different to, you know, I went out to get some shopping just before we came on this call, and imagine I've got to a set of traffic lights and somebody rear ends me, and I get out and I go, oh, you're joking. I look at the car. Luckily, you're lucky there's no damage, mate. And you've got a child in the car. Could you not see? Everybody else can see the traffic. You couldn't see it. You some sort of idiot, fool. Get in the car, straight on Facebook. Tell the wife you can't believe the driver's in Shirley. They're rubbish. Or I get to the same set of traffic lights. Somebody rear ends me. I go, oh, here we go. I get out. Oh, mate, no damage. Are you okay? You sure? Oh, look, I see you've got a baby seat. Is the baby okay? Yeah. Look, yeah. Yeah, I know. Just be careful. Next. I've done it myself. We all make mistakes. I get back in the car. Do I go on Facebook? No. I might tell Amanda. Same event.
Mm.
Difference is, do you react to things or do you respond?
Yeah.
React or respond.
Mm.
I more importantly choose to respond. But here's the key, and I say this to every client: if what I impart to you and the therapies, and you do this 100% of the time, can you please come back and teach me?
Absolutely.
Because we're all human.
We're all human.
We all go to default every now and again.
Yeah, and it's understanding that, you know, we all make those mistakes, and we all kind of go to that default. But we need to be prepared to be able to forgive ourselves for doing that, because the only person we need to forgive is ourselves.
Absolutely.
And once we do that, we can always kind of course correct, isn't it? Life is not a linear. It's, you know, you're constantly course correcting, and it's somebody told me that then you're just learning to course correct better and better every day, and that is the path to mastery. He said, and when you get to mastery, you'll probably be dead. So, but as long as you've got the journey in mind, and the awareness and the conscious attitude to improve a little bit all the time, and learn and forgive yourself for the mistake. Away you go.
I had a client in the other day. She was saying, "I'm fed up of people telling me there's light at the end of the tunnel, because there is no light at the end of the tunnel." I said, "Here's the thing. You're making one assumption. I guarantee you're making one assumption." She said, "What's that?" I said, "That your tunnel is straight." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Light doesn't travel around corners. Okay, your tunnel could have a right-hand bend, a left-hand bend. You just haven't gone far enough along your tunnel yet to go round the corner to see the light, because light doesn't travel around corners. Go that little bit further, go round the corner, and then, oh my God, you can see the light." The assumption is we see a tunnel in our heads and it's a straight thing. No, your tunnel's got twists and turns, and light doesn't go around corners.
Unbelievable. I've never, that is such a fantastic analogy. It makes so much sense. Yeah.
You can use that one, mate.
I will, because when you say light at the end of the tunnel, the first image that comes in my head is, and I know we tell it to the kids, and they're probably also thinking the same: tunnel, straight, light there, I've got to get there. And I think that's what puts a lot of people off.
Absolutely, because I can't see the light.
I can't see the light. It's too far away. It's too hard. It's too challenging. And the self-talk goes back round again. And that whole thing of the tunnels wiggly up and down. So just take the next step, and you'll.
It's like if you're confronted with a forest and it's dark and it's gloomy, and people say just past the end of the forest, is that glade? Is that glade where the sun's shining and there's a flowing river with drinking water and there's lots of animals, but you've got to get through that forest, and they focus on the forest and they can't see it. Whereas you say, just look down. Can you see that step in front of you? Yeah? Well, focus on that. Focus on that one step. Now take that. Was that easy? Yeah. Focus on 2. Now 3. Now 5. Now 10. And break it down. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time.
Yeah.
Same, different analogies, just different ways. And the idea behind what you said about hypnotherapy, it's using analogies and metaphors with people in a hypnotic trance state when the subconscious is up there and going, "This is, how about you look at it like this?" And then you go, and then the synapses start going.
Yeah. Boom. Away you go.
Yeah.
Paul, that's been as always, fascinating, interesting, inspiring. And we want to
keep it going. Keep going. Okay. Yeah, go. No. Yes.
I'll keep pumping that self-talk for you. But I think it's important to share this, because the way you communicate it is so matter of fact, simple, easy to kind of digest. And I think a lot of people go, right, I need some help. So the aim of this really is to give information to people so they don't have to go read through reams and reams of stuff on the internet and Google and kind of form, their own ideas and so on. And to hear it coming straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, not saying that you're a horse or anything, but to the way you've help the naysayers. Excuse me. I'm just very grateful for the way you've sort of iterated it and put it into very, very clear, simple ways. And all I would say is, if anybody watching this wants to have a chat with you, where can they get hold of you, Paul?
So they can get hold of me via my website. Don't judge the website. Just book a Calendly call, a discovery call.
Okay.
So it's www.everydayhypnotherapy.co.uk. Or they could do something really old-fashioned, and this is going to be something they could call me. I know, it's one of those things. We could play email, WhatsApp, message tennis, my least favorite sport, or 07557 668 729. Get on the phone. The only time I don't answer is if I'm with a client. Just leave a message and say, please give me a bell. And my main purpose is, if as a result of talking to me, you go and find help, great. If as a result of talking to me, you find help with me, better still. But the onus isn't about coming to see me. It's find the help that you need. And if I can guide you there, because I've got loads of friends who are NLP, you might not like to deal with an 18-stone, grey-haired, larger-than-life, tattooed me. I get that. I'm not for everybody. Oh, the other thing I would say, I'm not PC to a degree. And if you're waiting for whale song and incense, I'm not your therapist, because that's not going to happen either.
Cool. Okay, well, we're all about clarity, transparency, and honesty. So fantastic, Paul. Listen, mate, thank you so much again. We'll definitely get you back on later in the year, because I believe more and more people need to hear what you're talking about. And it's been a real pleasure.
Mate, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Finn. It's, I learn every time. We're always learning. And it's wonderful, and I'm privileged to have you as a friend. So thank you.
Likewise, mate. Thank you so much, Paul. And we'll catch you on the next interview, folks. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.